Good morning, everybody. Happy July 6th. So, chapter 7 in the Art of War, Maneuvering, verse 6. If you set up a fully equipped army in march in order to snatch an advantage, the chances are that you will be too late. On the other hand, to detach a flying column for the purpose involves the sacrifice of its baggage and stores. I checked other versions of the Art of War that I have. I looked up online the best scholarly research I can find into this paragraph is that it might be corrupted Chinese text, and that our best guess is Sun Tzu does not approve of long marches with your army if you're not sufficiently provisioned. So, how do we create that as a metaphor for our daily lives? If you set a fully equipped army in march, if you wake up in order to snatch an advantage, if you wake up ready to take on the day, with a positive mindset, the chances are that you will be too late. A fully equipped in order to snatch an advantage. Okay, so maybe it's like if you are fully equipped and you try to snatch the advantage, you'll be too late because you're fully equipped. But in order to sacrifice the flying, you have to sacrifice the baggage and stores to detach a flying column for the purpose. So, in order to move swiftly, you can't be fully equipped all the time. You have to make the right call for your provisions based on what the plan of attack is. And so if you're fully equipped and you've got too much going on, right? I mean, in the metaphor for our daily lives in this sense could be if you've got too much thoughts, they're not straightened out. That's the undisciplined multitude, right? Going back to yesterday. So verse 5, maneuvering with an army is advantageous, with an undisciplined multitude most dangerous. So maybe like a fully equipped army is like the undisciplined multitude of thoughts. It's very dangerous. If you're just fully equipped, you're burdened by all your thoughts. But if you're trying to snatch the advantage, you need to move all of that aside and focus on the purpose, for the purpose which involves the sacrificing of the baggage and stores. In this case, your extra thoughts. If you've got too much going on, you need to focus in on what you need to get done. So now let's move to the Daily Stoic. July 6th is entitled Rise and Shine. On those mornings you struggle with getting up, keep this thought in mind. I am awakening to the work of a human being. Why then, and I am annoyed that I am going to do what I am made for, the very things for which I was put into this world. Or was I made for this, to snuggle under the covers and keep warm? It's so pleasurable. We're either made for pleasure, in short, to be coddled, or to exert yourself. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 5.1. So there's a lot of thoughts that come from Marcus's quote, but first let's go with Mr. Holiday. I love how he follows up immediately on the meditation from Marcus. He says, it's comforting to think that even 2,000 years ago, the Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, who was reportedly a bit of an insomniac, was giving himself a pep talk in order to summon up the willpower to throw the blankets off each morning and get out of bed. From the time we're first sent off to school until we retire, we're faced with that same struggle. It'd be nicer to shut our eyes and hit the snooze button a few more times, but we can't. Because we have a job to do. Not only do we have the calling that we've dedicated ourselves to, but we have the larger cause that the Stoics speak about, the greater good. We cannot be of service to ourselves, to the other people, or to the world unless we get up and get working. The earlier the better. So come on, get in the shower, have your coffee, and get going. So there's at least a few different things in here that really strike home and give me thoughts that I wrote down. So first is the last part of Marcus's quote. Were we made for pleasure Were we made to be coddled or to exert ourselves? Do we stay in the covers, or do we get out and risk it and get out of our comfort zone? So that always reminds me of the story of the crab, that the migratory crab, that when he grows within his own shell, the pressure begins to get really, like the pressure grows as he grows, because his shell doesn't grow because he migrates to shells. And so in order to not die by being crushed to death by his own shell because he's growing too big, he needs to leave his shell, brave the waters of the sea, the dangerous lurking waters, in order to migrate into a new shell. And so it's that stress, it's that risk. In order to attain growth, you have to make yourself vulnerable, you have to leave your comfort zone, you have to do a lot of these things. And on a daily basis, if you're living your purpose, then this is going to be something that you throw off the covers for, right? You're gonna know. But if you're not, and if you're stuck and you're comfortable in bed and you struggle waking up every morning and you don't quite know what your purpose is, well, the next part helps. When he says, from the moment we're sent off to school until we retire, we're faced with that same struggle. And it's good to know here, most people are mostly the same. We've all been through this at some point. We've all had hardships where we're dealing with something, and for what feels like an eternity, we sleep for 16 hours a day and we have no life. And sometimes that phase happens to people. Some of that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's definitely times when you have that struggle. And having it written down that a lot of people, once they go to school up until they retire, they struggle with getting out of bed and they just want to hit the snooze button. So, but we can't, because of the greater good. And so that's kind of, how do we relate that back to the art of war, Stoicism and the art of war? Well, if we wake up every day disciplined, right? When we maneuver with an army, when we, let's see exactly, if you're fully equipped, disciplined, marching, ready to take on the advantage, and you're unburdened, and you're not, and there's no lack of discipline, you've got the right amount. We're not talking about like you haven't had to sacrifice any of your stores or baggage in order, but you're fully equipped mentally, in the sense of you're organized and you're ready to go. Well, the flip side of it, if you're traveling with the undisciplined multitude of thoughts in your head, you don't have a plan for the day, you don't have a strategy of attack, you're more likely to just lay there comfortably under the covers, snuggled up where it's warm, comfortable, and safe, while you dangerously struggle with your undisciplined thoughts. You need to detach the flying column for the purpose, which this will involve sacrifice of baggage and stores. And so maybe to get up every day, to throw off the covers, we have to sacrifice the thoughts. We have to loose ourselves of the baggage so that we can get up and not be too late and snatch an advantage and not be too late. Because if you have too much thoughts, you're going to move too slow and you'll be late. And so take the time under the covers while you think, do I stay here under the covers, or do I cast off my negative thoughts, my negative energy, and do I go out and achieve something for the greater good and fulfill myself in the process?